I am Kavita Bahal.
And I am Kizelle Jackson.
And welcome to the Live Wire. So Kizelle, what's going on in the Caribbean region?
Well, good news. Dominica prioritizes the building of its first international airport, which will be funded by Citizenship by Investment. And Kavita, some sad news. 12 have been killed as two storms tore through the Caribbean. That is Hurricane Marco and Tropical Storm Laura. In Haiti, I believe it was about 9 persons were killed. Heavy rains have also battered Cuba and Puerto Rico. And turning our attention back to Trinidad and Tobago, last August 10th, there were estimated 281 COVID-related cases. However, August 24th is skyrocketed to about over 1,000. Was it 1,031, Kavita?
So far, thus far. And you know, Kizelle, without national unity, the worst is yet to come. And we have noticed that there has been a drastic increase in positive cases. And it's alarming to know that the healthcare system, not only in our country, but around the world, is at great strain. And it brings us to a question. Who are we to blame? Are we to blame the frontline workers? Are we to blame our doctors? Are we to blame our governments? The answer is no. We are to blame ourselves as people, because first of all, we start with us, to each their own, by wearing our face masks, by washing our hands, and so on. But in addition to it as well, our education system is crumbling. Our economy is crumbling. And there's a lot of fear, not only surrounding the economy, but social fear, political fear. What do we do? And again, many people are blaming government. They are blaming doctors who risk their lives. Why?
I wouldn't say that we would assign blame to any one entity. However, we all have our part to play, as you said initially. But my question now is, if those figures were 281 on the 10th of August, within 2 weeks, the figures went to over 1,000 persons being infected. Did the political campaigning have something to do with that great increase in COVID cases? And earlier, Kavita, I kept on asking, was COVID politicized? And then was the government handling of COVID politicized? Then that may be so. Are we really handling COVID that well? Are we responsible? Because it seems to be like more irresponsible behavior. And we also heard that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago is also in self-quarantine. Now, the question begs of us, yes, we have our individual role to play. Yes, we have to take some blame, but COVID is evolving. Even the facts surrounding COVID continues to evolve. What is the next step for Trinidad and Tobago? Is it a total lockdown? And can the economy of Trinidad sustain such a lockdown? I don't think so. So then what is next? Is it that they're going to allow persons to build a level of immunity to this virus? Is it that the government is going to subsidize an economy? I mean, $500 million went to the repainting of the Red House. That money could have been well distributed in terms of the vulnerable groups in Trinidad and Tobago who are suffering presently because of COVID-related economy drop.
But there are many changes coming into play because of COVID-19. We see that the new normal now in schools, we have what you call the online teaching. But then there's another problem. Some kids now have no use of laptops. They can't afford it. What will the government do now to provide? But I think right now, whatever government, and our current government now, they should be putting things in place for these children, because no one knows for how long again the school will be down, but teachers are working. They're working diligently behind the scenes through WhatsApp groups, through the use of computers. There are systems in place. But the children need some sort of devices. And I believe that our new Minister of Education, Ms. Gatsby, she was stating recently that yes, they will put implications in place where laptops will be provided for children.
Well, that is good news. And maybe this education minister will be much more outgoing than the former education minister of Trinidad. But I think he too sometimes took a back seat where education is concerned in this country. Using education as a stepping stone, and maybe it is time for us to just revamp the education system, use advanced technology in education, incorporate. So amid our disaster, we can use it now to elevate our status, elevate our level of technology implementation in our classrooms.
But you know, our citizens have to understand that in order for us to save our frontline workers or people who jeopardize their lives, right, they have to take some sort of responsibility. And again, I will say, responsibility starts with you. So in order for us to save, responsibility starts with you. So let's see now, what exactly will this new normal bring? For sure, I'm excited because a new generation. I mean, yes, COVID may dampen spirits, but who knows? It may bring some sort of enlightenment in several ways.
And Kavita, we're looking at Iran and some of those Muslim countries. They may be smiling at the world because, you know, wearing of the Islamic wear in public, covering the faces, it was illegal. Now, however, with COVID, you see the world is wearing a mask, and just now the world may be covering their heads as well, because it is said that sometimes the virus, I'm not sure, don't quote me on this, but there are some studies coming up that is saying that the virus can be trapped in your hair. So what is the next step? Cover your head.
Yes.
Getting to a clinic can sometimes seem impossible, whether it's because the pain is too much to bear, or you are homebound due to low mobility. Good news! Doctors come to you. Receive treatment in-home, office, or hotel. We have partnered with reputable doctors to minimize the utilization of facilities due to COVID-19 pandemic. Get personalized medical care from the comfort of your home. Call 279-2802.
And we are the long-serving member of parliament, I should say statesman, and doctor of urology as well. Certified in London and practicing in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, it's how much? Over 25, I would estimate 25 years?
Approximately.
And then you took a sabbatical leave.
Well, yes.
You see that you bow out of politics, but your political strength is still with us today.
Well, it's a sabbatical, it's a short, as a sojourn from the politics.
I feel it's more sabbatical. I feel you will entirely put your foot out of that water.
Well, not really. You're always in it.
Yes, definitely. And Dr. Khan, in light of all what is happening with COVID-19 as the former Minister of Health under the United National Congress, what are your recommendations? What would you have done differently in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, you look at COVID as a total. You don't look at it as a knee-jerk reaction that something the media reports that you do something about it. COVID is a coronavirus, as we all have gotten to know, and it's a virus that is a respiratory tract virus. So at the end of the day, you ask yourself, what is the death rate from this COVID? What is the death rate from Ebola? And you kind of look at both of them and say, you use different strategies for each one. The death rate for COVID is approximately 0.01%, let's say 1%. So the recovery rate is 99%. So 99% of people are going to recover no matter what. And we have to take care of the 1% that is not going to, that will die if we depend on medical intervention. The common cold, which is a normal H2 virus, usually when people who have comorbidities, which is diabetes, hypertension, respiratory disorders, cancers, etc., they tend to succumb. Like things in life, nobody likes to talk about death, but believe it or not, people die. They actually die. And no matter how you try to prevent death, sometimes death happens. And it's a result of something that has occurred. As Minister of Health, I had to deal with Ebola, which was a 99% mortality rate. It was a different thing. Fortunately, it didn't reach here. COVID is here. But you have to look at the whole perspective. You look and see, how do I protect the population? How do I protect the economy? And what sort of messages am I going to give to those in power, such as the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health, etc., of running things? What I would have done differently, I would have not ventured to such a draconian method with the public health ordinance, where people are not free to do anything. Complete lockdown. Because the more you lock down somebody or something, the chances of the virus not running a herd immunity decreases. And if somebody has the COVID virus, at home and you lock them down, then the whole house will get it, as you see.
Yes.
No. But you run the risk of spreading it intra-household. So I would have done, indicate what they were doing first. Wear your mask in public places that people are close by in large groups, such as what they've done in England, which is on the tube, on the buses. I would not have gone so far as to, do the whole 9 yards, plexiglass. They don't have that in England, and they have more COVID than we do. Plexiglass, you wear the face shields if you want to, you wear the mask if you're susceptible. And making the mask mandatory is not a good idea as far as I'm concerned. However, people must practice social distancing. They must practice washing of your hands, sanitizing your hands, not touching your face all the time. And if you are ill and if you are sick, stay at home.
We understand that COVID-19 belongs to a family of RNA viruses.
Yes.
And if we look at history in terms of SARS in 2002, 2003, we look at MERS in Saudi Arabia in 2012, we look at COVID now, which is continuously evolving.
Right.
But the question now one must ask is, can our economy sustain another lockdown? Are we in an economic situation in which we can continue as we are now?
No. The economy is going to be destroyed. I will give you examples, such as if you go to the malls, let's suppose I went to West Mall, and what is happening as a result of the draconian measures? The stores are being closed down, people cannot pay their rent, but there's no traffic inside because of the draconian measures that have been taking place internally, and it's happening in all the other malls and all down wherever people are. The gyms, let's suppose the gyms, the in-house restaurants, and I think the beaches and the businesses around the beaches, they all did what the regulations said to do. Take the temperature, write your name down, have masks, have sanitizers. They all did that, and they got locked down. This is a second lockdown. I would be surprised if more than 15 to 20% of them survive this one. Because when you lock down a place, there's no trade, there's no economy, there's nothing going on. Those in the public service, they get their salary, they get their benefits. But those outside of the public system, they get absolutely nothing. They're laid off, they're furloughed as they're now calling it. And the businesses themselves, unless they're essential businesses, are not running they're running at zero. And you have all your expenses, all your salary and everything else. I was just thinking, as I was driving down the road the other day, those people who sell to the school children and make a living out of it, the little vendors, they're on zero. So they have no money coming in this way, no trade. Who they purchase from, that has dropped. So there's a supply chain, total economic destruction with this, with draconian measures.
Kavita?
Ms. Vandana Mohit, which is the Shihwana's mayor, made a statement that with the recent spike in COVID, she stated that it's the PNM's karma. But as we know, this COVID virus, it doesn't discriminate with race, class, social strata, society, or anything like that. It's a virus. What are your views on that particular statement made by that young lady?
I think she's new. I think it's newness. Sometimes when you're new in politics, she's been moved from a councillor to a mayor to a member of parliament, and maybe she wasn't accustomed to the idea that she would be moving so fast, so furious, so fast, and they tend to talk foolishness, right? And without thinking. And maybe that's one of those times.
Yeah, because when we're really looking at this virus, I mean, if we are not together as a country or unified, the worst is yet to come. And the thing is, in order for us to...
So you're talking, the worst is yet to come. You're falling for the media trap.
What is the worst? And this is my next question I'm going to ask you. Now we went...
Yes.
We went on August 10th from 281. Then we skyrocket. Today's date is about over 1,100.
Move your mind. I want everybody who's listening to this show.
Yes.
Move your mind away from how much positive cases you have. forget that. Because they have much more outside that you're not picking up.
But this is what I'm going to ask you. Allow me to ask you something first. Wait, because this is your expertise I'm coming into, right? They're saying that we move from 2 something to 1,000 and something.
Right.
They are much more because we have to compare that to the amount of testing that are actually done.
Exactly.
So the amount of testing cannot be comparable because it doesn't represent our full population.
Exactly.
This is what you're going to say. Now, based on your theorizing that you're saying is just a little under 1%. More people die from the common flu.
Yes.
Then it is a lot of publicizing, but maybe over-publicizing based on what you're saying, a lot of sensitization, probably to benefit a few, and to whom really doesn't benefit.
Or is it that they're afraid of the unknown?
No. What I was going to say is this.
Getting to a clinic can sometimes seem impossible, whether it's because the pain is too much to bear, or you are homebound due to low mobility. Good news! Doctors come to you. Receive treatment in-home, office, or hotel. We have partnered with reputable doctors to minimize the utilization of facilities due to COVID-19 pandemic. Get personalized medical care from the comfort of your home. Call 279-2802.
You move your mind away from what the media is pushing at you. Move your mind away on how many positive cases they have. Take that out of your system, right? And think about what is the death rate. March, April, May, June, July, August, going into September. 3 and 3, 6 and 1, 7 months. You have 15 deaths. That's the death rate. Look at the death rate. Don't look at the positive rates. You have 15 deaths in, how much months is it? 7 months? That's about 2 deaths per month. Out of that 15 people who died, majority of them had cardiac problems, cardiac failure problems before.
Yes.
And they so happen to have COVID as a result of it. They could have died from the cardiac problem. They could have died from
myocarditis related, some of
they
them.
could have died from that. But you're making a big issue out of 2 people dying per month.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. Do not, you have to take your mind off of the positive cases that are picking up, because the country is, just assume the whole country is positive. Assume that. Everybody in the country is positive, but you only have 15 deaths. So out of 1.5 million people, you have 15 deaths, which is 15 over 1.5.
But you know your theory is swimming against the waves, huh? You're
course.
swimming against the tide. So you know viewers out here, you are going to get a backlash in this.
They could do what they want.
For it?
I am prepared for any backlash, because my arguments are this. I am assuming that everybody in Trinidad and Tobago has COVID. I'm assuming that. Baby, man, woman, child, everybody. I'm also saying that the media is sensationalizing the positive cases, because it's a throwback from the United States media. United States media, they promote the positive cases all the time. They might find one person in the ICU and then blow him up to be whatever it is, and say, look at him, look at him. However, what is the death rate per population size? United States, I think, is 800,000 died.
Yes.
Divided by 350 million people, assuming everybody have COVID.
Yes.
In our case, we have 15 deaths in 1.5 million. So we're going to shut down a country for 15 deaths of people who were sick already. And
so are you going with the theory that you're going with a normal virus theory, understanding how virus and the nucleic acid operates, in that you have the virus, you build some level of immunity, and your cells will have some level of memory.
Exactly.
Yes?
It's antigen antibody response. It's an IgG, IgM, what's called IgG, IgM.
Yeah, but the coronavirus is both alpha and beta.
Okay, just imagine the coronavirus like this, right? It goes into the body. It starts with the immune system, the inflammatory system. It activates what they call your white blood cells, phagocytes. They have radicals to block them. It activates your macrophages. They produce what they call interleukins. They block them. The complement system attaches to it. It blows them apart. Then off comes now the antigen antibody response, memory cells now. And that locks it around there, and then the macrophages eat it. So basically, the people who are having a problem and who have a poor immune response, such as those who are severe diabetics, people on immunosuppressant drugs, see people who have, or just say, been treated for late stage cancer, and those people have a low immune system, so they don't mount a response. 99.9% of the population have a good immune response. That's why they don't die from the common flu. Those people who are susceptible will die from any insult, not just a COVID. If they get a flu.
But we still have to protect those people.
Yes, but no, they can protect themselves too, you know. But you don't shut down the country for it. You don't say keep all the children out of school for it. You don't destroy, as you say, the teachers. You don't destroy everything because of a 1% of people who could be susceptible, who you take care of themselves. You take care of that.
So why do you think America, like you made a statement just now, why do you think America is sensationalizing COVID? What does America...
You really want me to answer?
Yes, what does America has to benefit from COVID virus and this over-reporting or
95% of the media, right, are Democrats. 5% of the media, which is Fox News, is Republican.
Yes.
If you maintain the attack on Donald Trump by the Democratic media about COVID and who dying and lockdown this and lockdown that, Trump looks bad, so they could get rid of him in November.
So you think it's a form of political hegemonic control?
It is. It is.
And by and large now it
It's
expanded.
filtered down to us. So look at our front page of our papers today. Baby has COVID positive. Big headline. But they didn't have nothing about baby died from COVID positive. We have to look at the death rate. You see, everybody's focusing on the who is positive. But 99.9% of people who are positive are normal. They could infect the whole country. You'll still be normal. What I'm saying, well, you only have 15 deaths so far. So if you look at the death rate, rather than looking at who is positive, because if you had the common cold, let's say it's flu, right? Everybody will have the common cold eventually, and then next year, next step comes, next year, next step comes.
Correct.
Right? Those who are susceptible and who have a low immune response with a common cold will die too.
And my next question, Kavita, I don't know if you'll agree with me here, but the wearing of masks, do we see a medical problem down the road by people wearing the mask for so many hours and the prolonged wearing of masks? Is that a problem in terms of oxygenation? Is that a problem?
Well, highly likely, because you're not going to wear masks indefinitely all the time. But you won't be able to exercise in public places if they make it mandatory.
But the Prime Minister said when you're exercising around Queen's Park, Oval, wear your mask.
That's madness. And I'm very sorry to say so. You cannot exercise with a mask on. It's like pinching your nose and say breathe. Do so, and say breathe, or breathe. Close, how you doing? It doesn't make sense. I mean, but I feel sorry for the Prime Minister because he has to listen to the so-called medical experts in the ministry.
So you're saying you're not confident in our CMO, you're not confident in our Minister of Health in the way that they are handling it now?
I'm not confident. The word is not confident. I'm not saying I'm not confident in them. They know what they're supposed to do. But at the end of the day, they have been locked in to a method of thinking without external thinking.
And do you think that is our problem in Trinidad and Tobago? That we are not independent thinkers, that we just take our hand down from America, take our hand on what America is doing. And initially, even when World Health said, don't wear masks before January 14th,
Exactly.
then okay, they came on our news stations and said, not necessarily medical health professionals should wear it.
Yeah.
Then after January 14th, when World Health had a change in their notion of what should and should not be done, they say, yes, wear masks.
All right. What I'm saying is that you have to look on it. Let's flip the coin. Imagine every single person in the country, mask or no mask, has COVID. So you don't need a mask again, do you? Right? But what is the death rate? How many people are dying based on the total population? 0.01%, or let's say 1%.
And my last question to you, Dr. Khan, in countries like Iran, where it is Islam countries, then we should say that COVID should be the lowest, and this is not so.
Exactly, because they have the burqas.
Yes, and this is not so.
So therefore, you have two arguments to do it. The state is using the medical experts, that's what they have to use. The medical experts are locked into a mindset of being in a cocoon, basically, rather than looking at the whole thing. You have the economy destroying on this side, being destroyed completely on this side. People are going to lose their jobs, children are going to eat, because their parents will have no jobs. They're going to suffer malnutrition. How much can the state really do? The states cannot take all the money it makes and hand it down and say, go and eat. Go on because all the jobs are lost. Economy is about turning over stuff. Now, if we had illness that was killing 99% of the people like Ebola, well, then you could take some drastic actions. Because then you say, no matter what, 99% of the population will die. But these are just susceptible 1%, a little less than 1%. So you have to be taking care of them. They take care of themselves, but you don't focus, as the media is doing and everybody's doing, on the positive cases. Because everybody will eventually become positive. I know people who don't come out of their house. I know people who wear masks in their house and also with long sleeves and gloves and glasses. I know people with an air conditioning car by themselves wearing a mask and glasses.
But Mr. Khan, when you're looking at COVID-19, right? Yes, the majority of the times we're looking at parents and loss of jobs. But there's another factor that we're not examining, that of the children and mental health.
Yes.
The school is seen as a safe haven for so many. And there are so many children home right now who are suffering, either being raped, abused, whether it be verbally, physically.
You're right.
Right? And now that they are stripped, basically, they are out of school and they are in a home. Teachers now are being asked to use Big Blue Button, Zoom, and all these other mediums. But then there are some children where we can't force them to turn a camera on because of the fact that we don't know their home situation.
Fair enough.
They don't even have a camera to turn on.
And then to devices is another point I want to bring up that you have to.
Or broadband.
Right.
They have no new internet service.
Looking at this right now with mental health awareness of these children, what advice would you give to children who are looking at the live wire now? Some sort of hope because you're out of school. What would you say?
That is a difficult question for me to answer. I don't have the answer for that. I feel sorry for the children.
And with the closing of whatever little activities we had,
You're destroying
beach,
everything.
Right. So, what happens now?
The beach is. I'm going to go with my leader who was when she said sunlight is a good thing for COVID. You have, let's say, 95% of the population. I always say this, and I mean no disrespect. They move like sheep without thinking. You tell them to go so, they'll go so. You tell them go across that cliff, they'll go across that cliff.
Tell them jump off the cliff,
They will jump off the cliff. There are 5% of people will say, well, why am I doing that? Why is this happening? So you have 95%. Yes. And that is the 95% business. And I happen to be 105% because I question myself, right? I question my brother, I question Jeff, or we all question each other. Because the reason behind that is that if you don't question something, then you are a sheep. You're going to slaughter.
Do you think that a lot of people are really afraid of the unknown? That is the reason why they are backed into a corner. Media plays a huge role. Everyone is listening to someone. But I mean, maybe they are just afraid of the unknown. But if it is that you have proper education, because education in its own is a sort of power, do you think that by educating them in the proper light, this change or bringing this unknown factor of COVID-19 can bring a different way of ideological thinking to the public?
If you want to control a people, make them be afraid of the unknown. Then you could use the unknown to control them. Say, if you don't do this, that's what happened to you. Or you will not go this or the other. So in other words, you create a whole scenario of negativity, right? In fact, you create a hell. And if you don't do what I say, you'll go to that hell place.
You're raising some strong points here, Dr. Khan, some very strong philosophical points. So you're saying that the negative connotation of using, I'll go back to the hell theory of saying, okay, if you don't do good and you do bad, you go to hell. So, but the same thing with COVID, you don't do this, you die. But the reality is, will you actually die?
How many people die?
But based on your figures?
15 people in 7 months. And most of them would have died from any other insult or any other immune insult, not just COVID.
It's a question that we still cannot answer, but we can continue the conversation. Dr. Khan, we thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. I am so glad that you allowed me to put my views forward. as a former minister.
I tell you, you're going to hear the backlash of this
And again,
Saturday night.
don't
You
be
should like
afraid
it.
of the
You should
unknown,
like it.
you know?